Hello everyone, this video is for Module 7. So Module 7 does need to be completed after the other short story modules, or once you have a short story done that you feel you want some peer feedback on, you're more than welcome to submit it to the discussion board at any point. So this module focuses on getting feedback, but we also have one final short story assignment that you'll be completing, which is your choice in what you want to. There's fewer specific requirements for it. So let me show you what we're doing here. I've got a little note on revision, which comes from the textbook. It's a very short little section there that kind of goes over where different places are where you can get some feedback and where you can, how you should think about the revision process and what you should change as you're working on your story. So what's happening in this class is because you're using self-assessment to give yourself a grade, that means that your revision will kind of happen after I have given you feedback. So you're going to turn in the assignment and you kind of think of it as sort of a rough draft, and I will give you feedback on it. And then later in the semester, you're going to go back and look at all the feedback that you got from me as well as your peers, and you're going to work on assessing your own writing. And so rather than, turning in a draft, getting feedback, making changes, and turning in a new copy for a grade, you're assessing yourself throughout the semester anyway, so we don't need to do that. So in this case, we're doing the peer feedback here, but I do want you to be thinking about changes that you could make to your stories. I encourage you to go back and change your stories, work on them, make them better with peer feedback, with instructor feedback, but you're not necessarily going to turn in a new copy of those. I just encourage it for your own use. If you're really passionate about creative writing, if you plan on doing something with your creative writing in the future, you have to get used to revising and revising and revising and revising with all kinds of feedback from all kinds of people. No author ever exists in a vacuum. They always use readers, they have editors, they have, everything that's published has gone through an editing and revising process. So you have to get used to that if you want to actually write as part of your job. So the last story that you'll write is the author's choice. Basically, I'm just leaving this open. I added this assignment this semester because I have had in the past students kind of comment on, well, the assignments are pretty restricted on what they're supposed to be doing. And so they sometimes have story ideas that don't fit into the character story or the energy story. And so I kind of created this assignment to allow for some variety, that you might have some idea in your head that you want to work on, that just we need all of the elements of the story. And so you're basically demonstrating to me that you have learned all of the aspects of writing fiction. So obviously you'll have a clear plot line with the point of view and characters and the showing rather than the telling and that kind of thing. So you will have demonstrated all the skills that you've learned so far, but then this story is pretty open as far as what kind of topic that you can choose. And so if you're struggling with this at all, there are plenty of places to get ideas, but you could definitely email me and I can send you some things as well as the story starters in the textbook. So this is where you'll submit that, and then of course when you're done you'll do your module 7 self-assessment. The other thing that you're doing in this module is the feedback discussion board, and this is almost more important than the last story. The feedback discussion board is one of the critical requirements of this class. One of those core outcomes is participating in a writing community. And so you have to do one of these discussion boards to pass the class. So make sure that you are participating in these. As soon as you have a story that you're wanting peer feedback on, you can submit it. And the way that you do that is you just go to reply, you type, what story it is. You can tell us a little bit about about it. There's no need for extensive disclaimers. Obviously, you are all learning creative writing, and so there's no need to apologize for anything. All I really want is, what story it is and what it's about. And then you want to attach a file as well. So you can do that in a couple of ways. You can hit this paperclip down here to attach. You can also do file up here, upload document, and that will upload it straight onto the text box. And then when you're done, you'll hit post reply. And once you've hit post reply, yours will show up here with your document attached. And so then other students can look at your document. And then the second step is to respond to stories that have been posted. And I would like for you to do at least 3 responses. And in your response, so you'll hit the little reply underneath. And in your response, I want you to come up with at least 5 specific suggestions that the student could work on. So this may be copying and pasting a sentence from their work with an editing suggestion. It may be a little bit more broad and say something like, I noticed that you didn't include a lot of details about X character's physical appearance or something like that. So you could do something specific like that, but I want it to be unique details. So make sure that you look back through your other peers' responses if there are any other responses to that story. The trick with this is you have to give yourself time to make the responses, but you don't want to wait so long that all of the stories already have 3 or 4 responses, because it makes it harder to come up with anything new to give feedback on. So just kind of keep that in mind. Everyone needs to post stories early. You need to post at least 2 stories and respond to 3. And so once you have a story that you're comfortable sharing, you want to post that right away so other students have a chance to do that feedback. There are questions, and there are also checklists in chapter 2. There's also in your textbook, like right at the beginning of the front cover of your textbook, there's a big generic checklist for short fiction. And then of course in the chapter, there's checklists for each section of terminology that we've learned. And so you can use those checklists. They're just a series of questions. Use those to help you with unique feedback. You don't necessarily have to type out a question and type out an answer, but you can leave 5 things that are specific for each story. And so that will hopefully give you and your peers some place to look at for revision. So make sure that you are completing the posts entirely and giving enough feedback and that kind of thing. So that is the assignment, the most important assignment probably in this module. And then you want to, of course, do the self-assessment quiz. The self-assessment quiz is focused a lot on the discussion board posts. So that is one of our areas of concern, areas of importance for your outcomes for the class. So that concludes all of the modules for short stories for fiction writing. We'll move on to poetry after this, and we'll do the same thing with the poems that we did with the short stories, where there will be several poem assignments and they'll be spread out, and I will do these videos for each module, and you can complete them in any order and all of that. So if you have any questions, if you're struggling with anything, make sure that you send me an email. Otherwise,